And this is docket 5UR110, the joint application of Wisconsin Electric Power Company and Wisconsin Gas LLC for authority to adjust electric, natural gas, and steam rates. At least that's the docket title. This is the reopener where we're dealing with electric and natural gas party hearing sessions. So we're here to take evidence from the parties and commission staff. We'll also be holding a public hearing session next Monday, October 9th at 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. at the Clinton Rose Senior Center. We'll be taking live public comments there and also through Zoom at the same time. And we're receiving written public comments up until Monday, October 16th through the commission's website or by U.S. mail. And the details for doing that is on the notice of hearing displayed on the screen share and on the commission's website. So we do have a number of public comments filed in the reopener proceeding. Not as many as the last case, but there's a few. So I don't have the exact number for you, but yeah, people are responding. So at this point, let's turn to the service list and get appearances. We'll start with Citizens Utility Board.
Good morning, Your Honor. Kara Coburn-Ferris with the Citizens Utility Board.
All right, thanks. And the IBEW Local 2150. I don't know if they're, that may have to be corrected. I don't know if they intervened in the reopener. Also the the IUOE Local 420. They're definitely in this part of the proceeding. Okay, Public Service Commission.
Stephanie Bedford, Assistant General Counsel, appearing on behalf of the Public Service Commission.
Thank you. Walnut Way Conservation Corp.
Good morning, Your Honor. Krista Westerberg of Pines Bach for Walnut Way.
Okay, Wisconsin Electric Power Company.
Thank you, Your Honor. Attorney Patrick Proctor Brown on behalf of Wisconsin Electric, and Attorney Joe Wilson will also appear today, and we'll get an updated notice of appearance on file right after the hearing.
All right, great, thanks. And move on to Wisconsin Gas LLC.
And thank you, Your Honor. Again, Attorney Patrick Proctor Brown on behalf of Wisconsin Gas, and Attorney Joe Wilson is here as well.
All right, and Wisconsin Industrial Energy Group.
Yes, good morning. Steve Heinzen on behalf of WEG.
Okay, great. So except for the omissions for the applicants, any other corrections or modifications we need to make to the list? No? All right, so we'll use that list then. I will issue a list once we get the updates to everyone, make sure everyone's got the current version. Okay. So at this point, we'll deal with our filings and the offered evidence list. Let's go off the record. Just ask for errors and omissions to the list. We do have an issue with Ritsema surrebuttal. So we'll get to that, but any problems? Let's start with the applicants. Any issues with the offered evidence list, how the filings are displayed?
No, Your Honor. I think the only thing I would note is, like in the WPSC case, we would plan to file a new exhibit for Mr. Gerlikowski that has that initial data request. It's referenced in basically the same place in his direct testimony as it was there. Okay. And then also an additional exhibit from Mr. Stasek, I think it's number 10, to put in the letters and the change orders related to Badger Hollow 2 and Paris. But otherwise, I think everything was explanatory to us, made sense. I think in the future, we'll tighten up the naming conventions. But as I understood it, we don't want to complicate it more by doing that in this docket right now.
Okay, right. Yes, that's not necessary now. Okay.
Thank you.
Cub, any questions on just the appearance of the filings?
No questions from Cub, Your Honor.
Okay, WIG, all the filings correct?
There we go. Yes, no, we have no questions either. Thank you.
Okay. And commission staff, any issues with the filings?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so I was informed by staff that the surrebuttal for Ritzema inadvertently discloses some few words on the public version that should be redacted. So I'm not sure the status if parties are been informed about that, but what I do have is what I do have here on the screen is a new redacted version of the surrebuttal. So if we need to refer to that document on the screen, I'll use the newly redacted version. And the particular words, I think I can show you the redacted version if you want to. You'll get a sense of where we're headed, at least in case we need to reference that information. So I believe it's this redacted portion here off of Ritzma's page 1, line 11. That should be redacted, so not disclosed when we're speaking about the testimony. So if you want to refer back to the confidential, you'll see what those words actually are. So any questions about that?
No, thank you, Your Honor. We appreciate staff kind of jumping on that and getting it corrected before the hearing.
Yeah, it's still not fully formatted correctly, but at least we have the version to show. This particular document I don't think is ready for filing, but we'll get a new version out soon. Okay, so no other questions. So any questions about the comments? Let's take a feed here for anyone. No, I think they're pretty similar to the last case. So, okay, great. Didn't see a whole lot across, but there may be witnesses that need to take the stand. So let's start off with, are we going to be calling any witnesses? Are there any witnesses that plan to take the stand?
Your Honor, for applicants, we would call all 4 of our witnesses.
Okay.
I think we will start with Mr. Hoops, then Mr. Pekka, Mr. Grulikowski, and Mr. Stasek. So slightly out of the order alphabetically, but that's just for, because a couple of our witnesses have some time commitments.
Okay.
And I think there's some cross for Mr. Pekka and Mr. Stasek.
Okay.
And Your Honor, Steve Heinzen for WEG, we had indicated that we may have cross for Mr. Stasek. I do not have cross for Mr. Stasek.
Okay. Okay, but he's taking the stand anyway, so that's fine. How about any, will Cub be taking the stand, or are there any cross for Cub?
Cub's witnesses will take the stand, Your Honor, and we have no cross anticipated at this time.
How about WIG?
Yes, we will have Mr. Baudino will take the stand. I have 2 witnesses who will file affidavits if it's okay with the court. And I think that someone has cross-examination for Mr. Lane Collin.
Yeah, I have that note here. Yeah.
Okay. And I would just note that I do have a couple of questions for commission staff, Tyler Millman.
Okay. So are the witnesses that have no cross for WIGs at Bauer and Pilo?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. So we'll get on, when we get on the record, we can excuse them if
Yeah.
officially. And commission staff, we're all taking the stand.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right.
I'll just note, so we aren't surprised later. We have a brief piece of cross from Mr. Ritzema that I think we would need to take in closed session. And I think Mr. Grulikowski has a brief piece of Sir rebuttal that we would need to take in closed session as well.
Okay.
Just for saying that sooner.
Thanks for noticing that. Okay. All right. So anything else with witnesses? I think the only witnesses we're going to excuse are Bauer and Pilo. Right. Okay. Okay. So let's get on the record. So we've discussed the offered evidence list and the witnesses' appearances. So I can state that the offered evidence list will, we will accept the documents listed therein with the corrections that we're anticipating. And once those documents are verified, they'll be in the record. So also in terms of witnesses at this time, there's no cross-examination for witness Bauer and Pilo, so we can accept their evidence by affidavit, and they need not make an appearance. And except for that, I think we're good to go. Any questions, concerns we need to address before we take our first witness? No? All right. Oh, I see Quarles and Brady in the stand here. Just gonna. Okay, great. Okay, so let's get started then. Now we'll have applicants call their first witness.
Good morning. The applicant's called Kyle Hoops.
Okay, and just introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry, Joe Wilson on behalf of the applicants from Quarles and Brady.
Okay, thanks. All right, so witness Hoops, I'll swear you in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm? Tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
All right.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
Kyle Hoops, KYLEHOOPS.
Mr. Hoops, did you prepare and cause to be filed rebuttal testimony, both confidential and public versions?
Yes, I did.
If I asked you the questions contained in that testimony today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Mr. Hoops is available for cross-examination.
All right. So let's go off the record just for a second. I don't know if we did this in the last case, but I'm going to spotlight the witness stand for people that will make that camera visible for the live stream. So yeah, so Attorney Wilson, you're off the hot seat. You won't appear on the live stream, just so you know. And if we need to go back, we'll turn off that spotlight, but just want to give people a warning to adjust their screens. So I think we're good to go. Everyone see everyone? Okay. All right. Okay, let's get back on the record. Any cross for witness Hoops? No, not seeing any. Okay, thanks very much. You're excused.
All right, thank you. All right, little musical chairs here.
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Patrick Proctor Brown back on the record, and the applicants would call Mr. Stephen Pecca to the stand.
Okay, witness Picca, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Pecca, would you state and spell your name for the record, please?
Stephen, Steven, Pecca, Pecha.
And Mr. Pecca, did you prepare and cause to be filed direct and rebuttal testimony in this docket?
Yes, I did.
And if I asked you the questions in your direct and rebuttal testimony today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, I would.
And Mr. Pecca, did you prepare and cause to be filed one exhibit web code WG Pecca 1?
Yes, I did.
And is that exhibit true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Mr. Pecca. Mr. Pecca is available for cross-examination.
Any questions?
Yes, Your Honor, the commission does have some cross for witness Pecca.
All right, go ahead.
In response to data requests from staff, a spreadsheet with the overhead to underground distribution projects for 23 and 24 was provided, which included columns with inputs used to evaluate the projects. Can you describe these inputs and explain how they're used to rank the projects?
Okay, let's go off the record and just get that data request on the screen. So I think that would be useful to walk us through that.
Yep, the document locator number is 479325.
Okay, that PSC reference number.
That's correct.
Okay, so hang on just a minute. Okay, just repeat that number, please.
Sure, 479325.
Okay, so it's the Probst verbal attachment 1.
No, it should be the We Energies 2023 storm hardening.
Yeah.
Overhead to underground projects.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, Probst verbal, that was the data request. That's right.
Okay, so I think I have that on the screen. Might be small. I'll try to, well, if I
I don't know if anybody else is seeing it this way, but I don't have, there we go, the headers. Thank you.
yeah, so you're gonna need those from what I gathered in the questioning. Just trying to.
Yes. That
Make
will
it-
be the primary focus of the questioning.
Okay, good. As big as we can.
I think that looks pretty good on our screens. Mr. Pecca, if you have any questions or need to zoom in, just, I think, speak up.
Yeah, no, look, it looks good. Thank you.
Okay, so ready to go? Now let's get back on the record. So
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yeah, yes, if you could, please. Thank you.
Okay, looking at the columns at the top with the inputs used to evaluate the projects in the gray band at the top, can you describe these inputs and explain how they're used to rank the projects?
Are you saying rank the projects?
Rank, R-A-N-K.
Thank you.
Are you going to have specific questions about specific ones, or do you just want them to go left to right?
Just left to right is fine. We're not referring to any specific project at this point.
The information summarized on the data request response that you see here includes a spreadsheet of summary information, beginning on the left, the overall system priority, which was requested in the data request, is in the first column, just an ascending sort by priority. The project ID, which is an internal tracking project ID number that we utilize for project identification, design, construction, other tracking purposes. The third column is the project name, which describes the substation, feeder, general location, and type of work being performed as part of the individual project included in this group of storm hardening projects. Status, highlighting in the spreadsheet, indicates those projects that have been deferred. I mentioned in my testimony, project pivots, program pivots between overhead to underground conversion and DA device applications, and overhead resiliency work that was performed due to transformer or other industry supply chain issues that have been experienced in the market. So just to provide that clarification with what that status currently refers to. The project description is a general description of the work that's going to be performed or proposed as part of the overhead to underground project. Generally includes the miles of overhead conductors removed, the amount of direct buried cable being installed, the number of transformers being installed, again, pertinent information based on current supply chain.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. You said again, pertinent information.
Pertinent information on the number of pad mount transformers required to support the project. The next column are the project needs. Again, this describes the area condition of the system in respect to its age and condition, its reliability performance, whether or not it's part of a multiple phase of a project, information generally used to characterize the project need. Project delays, again, the headings here, the parentheticals 5D refer to the data request. Whether or not there were any project delays due to material or other issues are identified in this column. Where none is issued, projects are planned and are moving forward this year. Where there are delays, refer to the status due to delayed due to materials, as I mentioned, with pad mount transformers specifically. The information, again, in this spreadsheet is as of mid-year, July 31st, the information is provided. So design complete at that time is in the next column, indicated where the design status is. 100% means the design is complete and it is ready for construction activity. Construction complete indicates the status of the work in the field from a construction standpoint. The anticipated construction start date and anticipated construction end dates are the next two columns, showing the status of that work and expected start and end dates. The planning cost estimate, this is the project cost estimate prior to design and is the estimated cost of the work when it is handed over to our detailed design staff to perform that work. Costs incurred as of the end of July are indicated in the next column, including all pre-construction cost and construction cost where the work has commenced. Impacts, disadvantaged communities are identified in the next column. This refers to the disadvantaged community reference with respect to the areas defined by the DOE and is included in my testimony as well. Number of customers impacted. These are the direct customer impacts resulting from work being performed on the project. Outages per year per mile is another attribute that's captured in our project ranking and prioritization process. Number of times on the commission's worst performing feeder list in the time frame between 2019 and 2021 is included. And then the final column on the right, again, a proxy for age and condition of overhead system in the area is pole age. And that is identified based on the percentage of poles in the project area that are greater than 50 years old.
Thank you for that explanation. And the follow-up is, can you explain how these various inputs are used to rank the projects?
These inputs are used as part of a process that's undertaken by our distribution planning team that assembles to discuss, review the projects that are being proposed across the entire service area. These project attributes are discussed and identified in terms of the number of customers impacted, the expected reliability outcomes, as well as the cost. These projects are then ranked based on a consensus of the team and oversight of the engineering supervisors that are facilitating that discussion.
Are all of the inputs weighted equally?
All of the inputs are considered.
But are they weighted equally? And if not, how are they weighted? Or are some of inputs given more weight than others?
There is not a prescribed quantitative application to the ranking. It's not a mathematical computation, but weightings for reliability performance, recent reliability performance trends, as well as the number of customers impacted and expected results are considered primary factors in that analysis.
Thank you. Does the modeling used by the utility create a score, numerical or quantitative output for each project?
Our analysis software provides a comparative reliability performance of the existing system compared to the results that the proposed system would provide. This is based on historical reliability, failure rate, and other outage analysis that has been pulled together to perform that. So we have outage rates for overhead system for components that are used to compare prior performance or existing performance calibrated to that performance level, and then looked at replacement either with new overhead equipment, underground equipment to compare those results and what the expected performance would be.
Okay, and is the disadvantaged community impact an input to that model?
There are no direct disadvantaged community impacts in the analysis of circuits reliability performance. Oftentimes circuits traverse many different communities and census tracts that are outlined in the DAC identification tool that the DOE has. There's no differentiation between the areas that the circuit is serving with regard to those identified areas.
So you mentioned that the prioritization of the projects is done by consensus of a team. Would you say that that team has a fair amount of discretion in selecting the projects?
To a certain point, the overriding inputs to the prioritization process are pretty clear in terms of the reliability performance of the area that's being addressed, first and foremost, identification of the project need, and then the discussion around the solution or the resolution of those begins with the identification of those solutions. So the project needs are identified as part of that prioritization effort and are pretty clear in respect to the drivers, first and foremost being reliability, performance, age and condition of the assets, susceptibility to weather events, including significant weather events.
Thank you. And are you able to estimate how many projects approximately are ranked in the current model?
Right now, if I look at the list, I believe we had 15 undergrounding projects currently identified in the 2023 storm hardening program. We've been adding, as I mentioned, a number of additional overhead automatic device SCADA enabled recloser and distribution automation projects to move forward with our efforts to achieve the reliability improvement results that we expect to achieve with this program.
Thank you. And approximately how many of those projects are located in disadvantaged communities?
Are you discussing projects in 2023 or throughout the entire course of the project?
Throughout the model.
Throughout the
model.
Thank you.
Okay. More than
I
what's
believe you
reflected
said
on
there
the
were
screen.
15.
Yeah, this is just reflective of the overhead to underground projects that we're proceeding with in 2023. There are a number of distribution automation and automatic device projects that are proceeding as well, including the addition of about 30 additional devices that have been identified and accelerated into the 2023 program year. Those projects and programs do cover many disadvantaged community areas as well.
Thank you. And how does the company identify and determine overhead to underground projects to be included in the model for evaluation?
The analysis of the locations for overhead to underground projects include a number of considerations, constructability certainly is one of those inputs. The other input is cost, as well as the expected reliability improvements that can be obtained. So those are the drivers of overhead versus overhead resiliency improvement efforts.
Thank you. And for these projects, how are customer benefits estimated?
Customer benefits are estimated, again, the driver and the overall objective of the storm hardening program is to reduce total length of restoration times by 20 to 25%. So those are the overall driving results. However, there are many additional results, not during major storm or other weather events that are expected to be achieved as well. We should be realized in terms of the circuit's average annual performance as recorded using standard industry metrics such as SAFE, SAIDI, and CAIDI.
I see. And how are customer benefits quantified?
The customer benefits are quantified in terms of the circuit's performance and improved performance overall.
Okay, and what are these for the 2023 overhead to underground projects?
Could I ask for some clarification just on the benefits for the circuits or for customers? I'm not quite understanding the question.
I believe benefits for the customers is what we're looking for.
And again, the benefits for the customers will be an improved reliability performance on the circuits that are serving their area.
Thank you. And my last question is, how often is the data in this model updated that caused re-ranking of the projects?
This information is reviewed and updated annually.
Great. We have no further questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other cross for the witness?
Walnut Way has a few questions, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Pecca. This is Krista Westerberg, appearing on behalf of Walnut Way Corporation, Conservation Corporation. Do you recall in this matter responding on behalf of the applicants to some data requests from Walnut Way?
Yes, I do.
And I'd like to pull up the response to one of those. Your Honor, I marked it in my email yesterday. I attached it as hearing exhibit B.
Okay, let's go off the record for a second. Yeah, some reason I'm not catching those designations when I check those emails. So let me get to that. So let's see, hearing prep. I'm just going to search from your inbox. So this was sent in the disclosure email.
That's right.
Okay, I have it here. So it looks like there's a few documents attached. Is there one in particular? You said A or B? I can't remember.
B, please. If you can scroll, Your Honor, it's got 2 pages,
Okay.
just so the witness can see both.
Okay, and are you gonna ask any questions on this map? or?
Yes.
Okay. I have to just reduce the size. Okay. May have to zoom in later in case you have questions on specific places, but for now we'll leave it at that. Okay, so how's that? Are we where we want to be?
Yes, thank you. And Mr. Pecca, do you recall providing this map?
Okay, let's get back on the record.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
That's okay. Just checking.
Mr. Pecca, we've pulled up what's been previously provided to the administrative law judge as Exhibit B. I'm sure we'll renumber that, but for now, do you recall providing this map that we see on page 2 of the exhibit in response to some of Walnut Way's data requests?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And this depicts the storm hardening projects that are planned for Milwaukee County, correct?
In 2020, yes, in 2023, I might add.
Okay. And do you know what the projects will be beyond that for the 5 area codes that are marked here?
The projects planned beyond the 2023 period are also reflected in my testimony and include additional areas in these 5 zip codes as well.
And would those mostly be sectionalizing and automation?
Yes, they would. Again, building off a lot of our 4 and 8 kV conversion work that we completed in the last 15 years, in particularly 4 kV systems in these particular 5 zip codes, the Walnut 4 kV substation conversion retirement that occurred in the 2005 to 2008 timeframe, as well as the more recent Atkinson 4 kV conversion that occurred between 2011 and 2013. Much of that overhead infrastructure is new, built to current standards, including overhead poles, conductors. That infrastructure and resiliency investments will include the addition of sectionalizing the restoration for automatic restoration, as well as ties to multiple sources in the event that a circuit does experience an outage. Power can be rerouted from another source. So, and again, as we look to add DA and sectionalizing into the 2023 work plans you see here, but also into future work plans, much of this area will benefit from those investments.
Okay. And do you know if any undergrounding is planned in the future for those 5 zip codes noted on the map?
I do not know at this point if any additional undergrounding work is currently planned in those areas. Again, we denoted on the map in Milwaukee County, again, very few undergrounding projects have been proposed in 2023 or able to commence or move forward because of pad mount distribution transformer shortages. However, those types of projects will also be considered for these areas as well.
As part of the storm hardening program, isn't it true that the applicants do not plan to implement any microgrids anywhere?
There are no plans at this time as part of the storm hardening program or identified for microgrids.
Okay.
I'm sorry, at the very end, or identified.
For microgrids.
Thank you.
Those are all the questions I have at this time for this witness, but I would like to move admission of this exhibit, which I think will be 2.
Yeah, let me check our list here. Yeah, PECA 2 is the next exhibit, so we can mark this document PECA 2. Well, the refile version will be PECA 2, and the reference for this will be the data request response to one WWDR-2. The
So-
2 pages that, yeah, is that right?
Yeah, and the
Right.
attachment.
I have a minor objection there. I think the rule of
Yeah,
completion.
we're
would
just
probably-
marking it. So, okay, so we
No,
just,
understood.
and, okay, so at this point, we have that marked. So any objections to receipt of that document?
I have a kind of a minor objection that hopefully can be cured. Just the rule of completeness, I think, would require the other data request response. So this is actually a composite document, right? So instead of including the response to WWDR3, which is just cross-referenced in the response here, we have a composite data request response that includes the map that's attached to DR3 and the response to DR2.
Yeah, I didn't understand your response to DR2 to also reference the narrative response in DR3 because it specifically just says attach 01. I thought it was just referring to the attachment. So I don't think we need the written response to DR3.
Well, I think the attachment is actually responsive to DR3 and has some information that is responsive to DR3, which would be clarified by including both responses. But again, it's a minor objection. I don't know what you're going to use it for, but I think the rule of completeness would require both narrative responses in an exhibit like this.
It's interesting. So we haven't introduced the actual response to DR3. And I mean, on the face of the document, I don't think completeness would require we do that because you are what's being referenced in the response to DR2 is the attachment to DR3, which is, I'm understanding, is the table that we were just discussing. I'm sorry, not the table, the map that we had shown and we're just talking about. So I think, I mean, the applicant is free to request to add the text response to DR3 into the record, but I don't think I'm going to have. I'm not going to order that Walnut Way do so. Just so because it seems to me clear that this is complete for the purposes of what we're doing here.
Okay, understood, Your Honor. That's fine.
Okay.
We'll take that back and see if additional information is necessary to understand the map.
Okay, so that would need to be filed on a request for leave to add additional evidence.
Yep, understood.
Okay, so at this point, this document's in. So we have other questions for the witness?
I don't have any redirect, Your Honor. I think I do have an off-the-record question related to the
Okay, I'm
data
sorry.
request.
Let me interrupt you for a sec.
Sure.
I guess I was just confused. There were other attachments from Walnut Way from that email. So I was just assuming there was something else coming. Maybe that was my mistake. So is Walnut Way concluded with its cross?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any other questions for the witness from interveners? Okay, I did have one question just to clarify from the witness on the table we were discussing before, the staff data request table, and I was just curious, and apologize if this is in testimony, but I was just curious in terms of the system priority column. There's just the numbers 1 through, I think it goes down to 21 in sequential order. So I just was curious, is this the order that the company will be performing these upgrades according to that numerical order? Is that?
The order of construction design it's not sequential in the field or with the projects. Many of these may be occurring concurrently as they are identified in different areas of the service territory. So this is we can kind of be viewed as a portfolio of work, a work plan that's all being worked as part of the 2023 storm hardening effort.
Okay, and then so the fact that one, like for instance, what's listed as system priority 1 is delayed, that's not delaying work on other projects that have no constraints due to materials or other reasons for delay.
That is correct.
Okay. And then, yeah, so these are all projects that were identified in 2023, but recovery will be in the 2024 test year.
No, there's no recovery in the 2024 test year. This is capital investment. There is some capital investment related to the project.
Mm-hmm.
That has some depreciation, I think, in the test year, but that's
Okay.
related to prior year investment.
Okay. Okay. And the plan for 2024 isn't being presented in this docket, right?
No, because the commission's order was additional information about the storm hardening plan, and when the testimony was developed, I don't think 2024 was complete. It may not even be complete today,
Okay.
given
Okay.
all the delays.
Okay, that's fine. And I just one other question, because you did mention that disadvantaged community, the column that's provided in the table. I'm gonna need you to probably refresh me on this, but you said that that no particular projects had that circuits may affect disadvantaged communities, but they will affect other communities as well. Am I characterizing that correctly?
Yeah, correct. The information that was requested by the commission staff in this data request asks for identification if the project impacts a disadvantaged community. So these project areas were overlaid with the DOE disadvantaged community identification tracks to identify whether or not any tracks were overlapped with these areas, and those that did overlap or had direct customer impacts were identified with a yes. Yeah, say if you go down to 5, project SOS 23001 has that indication. Again, this is based on the DOE DAC tracks that that were referenced.
So when you say it may impact customers in a disadvantaged area, that could be that the project may be in a non-disadvantaged area, but it feeds into a disadvantaged area,
or would impact some customers in a DAC identified area.
Okay,
Correct.
Okay, great, thanks. All right. So any redirect?
No, redirect, Jenner. I have a quick off the record question.
Okay, let's go off the record. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to confirm, I think I know the answer, but the verbal data requests, those will be sponsored by staff in the omnibus exhibit.
Yeah, and we'll probably want to clarify that when I think it's witness probes.
Okay.
But my understanding is that any data requested from a specific commission staff person will be put into the exhibit. It's just the generic pre-case, well, I guess, well, I don't know how to call it, the initial data request responses, the fuel cost plan standard, the standard data request responses aren't included in the data request response exhibit, but I'll have staff should clarify that. So we're sure exactly what staff's intending to do in this case. So put a flag in that, and we'll make sure to get that on the record from the correct person there.
Thank you, Your Honor. That was a lot of really good information about that exhibit. I just want to make sure we knew where to cite it in the brief. So thank you.
Yep. Fair enough. Okay, so I'm going to leave that on my screen. Just make it a little smaller so it doesn't take up too much. Okay, so I think we're good with witness Pekka. So you're excused. Thanks very much. And who's next?
think I heard we're back on the record. Is that right?
Yeah. We are. Good enough.
Thank you, Your Honor. The applicants would call Mr. Brandon Gerlikowski to the stand.
All right. See you there. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Gerlikowski, would you state and spell your name for the record?
Yeah, Brandon, Brandon, Gerlikowski, Gerlikowski.
Thank you. And Mr. Gerlikowski, did you prepare and cause to be filed direct and rebuttal testimony, both confidential and public versions?
Yes, I did.
And subject to an additional exhibit that we'll be filing and some minor corrections to your testimony. If I asked you the questions in your direct and rebuttal testimony today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
And we'll be filing that revised testimony after the hearing today. Is that right?
Yes.
And we'll also be filing one additional exhibit WEPCO WG Gerlikowski 6. Is that under your understanding?
Yes.
And so, Mr. Gerlikowski, did you prepare and cause to be filed so far 5 exhibits to your testimony?
Yes, I did.
And are those 5 exhibits true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, they are.
And then, Mr. Gerlikowski, did you prepare some short sir rebuttal to read into the record today?
Yes, I did.
And I'll ask you those questions now. So after reviewing Mr. Ritzema's sir rebuttal testimony on behalf of Commission staff, is there anything you need to clarify?
Yes, there are 2 points in Mr. Ritzma's sir rebuttal
Oh, and
testimony.
I'm sorry, one sec. Your Honor, I think we need to go into closed session for this. Apologies.
Okay, sure. All right, let's get off the record. This
Sorry about that.
a little bit here. Okay. So we're going to place everyone into a breakout room, and I think I can do that for everyone. So you will be lost to the hearing and be in the breakout room, I think, starting now. So I'll also need to put a sign up on our live stream, so that just will take another minute.
A little bit too fast.
So, oh, I think you need to actually. Okay, there we go.
So Your Honor, Mr. Gerlikowski would be available for cross-examination in the open session.
All right, so let's get back into open session. Any questions for this witness? No? All right, thanks very much. You're excused.
Thank you.
The applicant's called Richard Stasek.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
Richard, Richard, Stasek, Stasik.
Mr. Stasek, did you prepare and cause to be filed confidential and public direct testimony, public supplemental direct testimony, rebuttal testimony, and rebuttal testimony in this case?
That's correct.
Did you also prepare and cause to be filed exhibits 1 through 9?
Correct.
If I asked you the questions contained in your testimony today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Is the information contained in your exhibits true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Your Honor, we have one necessary correction to Mr. Stasek's Exhibit 6. That's referenced in his rebuttal testimony and has to do with a change order or a couple of change orders. There is a reference in the testimony, both a cover letter and 2 change orders. In preparing for the hearing today, we noticed that the cover letter was included in the exhibit, but not the change orders. So we'd seek leave to supplement that exhibit with those change orders shortly after the hearing today. I can give you the IRF numbers if that's helpful.
Sure, let's do that. Let me get what I need on screen here. So are these documents public?
There's a confidential and public version of each.
Okay, and I mean the change orders themselves.
Correct.
Okay. If you have the public reference number, I could take that.
Yeah, sure. The first is 444198.
Let's go off the record. So am I displaying that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And there's another public document?
Yes. 444200.
How about that one?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So that'll be added to the existing Stasek 6.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any objections to that change to Exhibit 6? No, we're not on the record.
No.
No, okay. So that's fine. So let's get on the record. Yes, I believe we have been discussing changing Stasek Exhibit 6 with 2 additional documents. Any objections? Okay, not hearing any. So we'll expect that filed in the time frame for refiling testimony and other evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mhm.
Mr. Stasek, did you prepare some short source or rebuttal testimony for delivery from the stand today?
Yes, I did.
With your permission, Your Honor, I'd like to have him read that in.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Stasek, how do you respond to Mr. Muleman's request for more information about allocation of costs to the power generation classes for the applicant's 2 gas utilities found in his rebuttal testimony at pages 1 and 2?
Natural gas tariff schedule X-111 governs power generation, interruptible sales, and distribution service for both Wisconsin Gas and Wisconsin Electric gas operations. Condition of service 1A of schedule X-111 says, quote, any individual customer shall meet the following conditions. A, has accepted a rate structure and rate level with the company that will be filed with the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin and found by the PSCW to be above long-run incremental cost within the meaning of the PSCW order in docket 05-GI-108, phase 1, end quote. The reference docket adopting the pathing analysis, which is the framework for the assignment of costs above the long-run incremental cost to customers taking service on power generation, interruptible sales, and distribution service tariff. This allocation methodology was used to set the final rates in the December 29, 2022 rate order in this docket. To deviate from that methodology now would be inconsistent with the tariffs.
Did the applicants make any changes to this approach when proposing the revenue allocation for this reopener?
No, we did not make any changes to the revenue allocation methodology in this reopener. We simply carried forward the same process used for allocating costs to the power generation, interruptible sales, and distribution service customers.
Do you have anything else to add?
No, not at this time.
With that, Mr. Stasek is available for cross-examination.
Okay, great. Just wanted to clarify, I think we can do this off the record. I think Attorney Proctor Brown had mentioned Stasek Exhibit 10. Is that what did we just do that by including the new documents in the Stasek 6, or is there something else coming in on Stasek 10?
And those are different change orders. The Stasek Exhibit 6 is from the summer of 2022, and Exhibit 10 will be from September of 2023. So,
okay, so can we just have the witness clarify what Exhibit 10 will be? So let's just get back on the record and ask him just to describe that for us.
sure.
Go ahead.
Mr. Stasek, do you understand that you will also be filing an Exhibit 10?
Yes, I do.
And what will that be?
That will be the most recent set of change orders related to the renewables projects that were received and entered into between the company and the EPC contractor in September of 2023.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Any objections to that information? No. Okay, great, thanks. All right, so no more direct testimony from the witness. Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. The commission has some questions on cross.
Okay, let me just check with interveners first. Any interveners?
Walnut Way has some questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Okay, let's start with interveners. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Stasek, I'm Krista Westerberg, representing Walnut Way Conservation Corp. You prepared an Exhibit 5 in this matter, did you not?
Correct, I did.
And that's the copy of the bill insert that went out to customers?
That is correct, as I recall.
Can we look at the first page, Your Honor, or the first page of the exhibit, the letter?
Sure, let's go off the record for a second. Okay, so I'm showing Stasek 5, and there's the letter, and I'm just going to reduce it more. Close enough. So we will get back on the record. Go ahead.
Thank you. So do you recognize this exhibit 5, Mr. Stasek?
I do.
And the cover letter contained within this exhibit indicates that this is a copy of the bill insert distributed to customers by the applicants from the dates of June 28th through July 28th of 2023. Is that right?
Yes, that is what the letter states.
Okay. And can we scroll down to the next page of the exhibit just to look at the bill insert? Actually, the final page. There we go. And that bill insert contains some projected bill impacts for various categories of customers, correct?
I would say classes, but yes.
Did this estimate, the estimates contained in this exhibit, take into account the costs related to the Weston Rice units that were discussed in your supplemental testimony that had been omitted from your direct?
So you're referring to, did it include just the revenue requirement included in the supplemental direct? Is that correct?
Yes.
Subject to confirmation, I do not believe that it did.
Okay. Are there any other aspects of the revenue requirement that are not accounted for in this exhibit?
No, this reflects the entirety of the revenue requirement in our application.
Okay. Would you expect the estimates in this exhibit as far as bill impacts to be higher once the revenue requirement for the Rice unit was added in?
Okay, let's go off the record for a second. So just don't want to confuse the record. Is that case simply that's simply Rice project, right? There's no other generation in that project. Is that?
Your Honor, yes, that's correct. The supplemental
so-
direct related merely to the Rice projects.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Go ahead. Get back on the record. Do you want that question read back?
Yes, if we could have that last question read back.
Okay, go ahead.
Question, would you expect the estimates in this exhibit as far as bill impacts to be higher once the revenue requirement for the Rice unit was added?
Objection. Calls for speculation.
Okay, sustained.
I believe you mentioned a moment ago, Mr. Stasek, that this bill estimate did not include the Weston Rice project and accounting for bill impacts. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And so once you add, I believe your supplemental direct testimony indicated that the revenue requirement would be higher as a result of adding the Weston Rice project.
Objection. Calls for speculation.
I think he said it in his supplemental direct.
Well, may I respond, Your Honor?
Yeah, sure. We can just look at the supplemental direct, but go ahead.
Sure. The revenue requirement will depend on many factors, principally the commission's final ordered revenue requirement. The additional costs for Western Rice materials and supplies are one small element of that.
Okay, thanks for that information. So I mean, I guess I'm gonna sustain the objection. I don't know if you do you want to know if the estimate on that was given to customers would have changed had the Rice information been included?
Yes,
Okay.
the witness can answer that question, then that I wouldn't have any further questions on this exhibit.
Okay. You understand the question?
Yes, I understand it. So to clarify, I am responding to whether or not the $153,000 or 0.153 million in my supplemental direct would have changed the estimates of what the increase would be for a particular for the customers that were listed within the bill insert. I don't believe that it would have been a large enough change in the revenue requirement to have changed what those individual estimates are to the penny, which is the level of detail with which those estimates are provided.
Okay. So the revised base rate requirement would be increased by 1.3%, but you're saying the revenue requirement wouldn't be enough of a change to move the needle on the bill insert.
I'm not sure that I'm clear where you're getting the 1.3% from.
That was in your supplemental direct page 3, line 18.
Okay, so thank you for pointing that out. The 1.3% does not specifically relate to the $153,000. It relates to the total revenue requirement inclusive of the $153,000. And merely that portion of the supplemental direct testimony is indicating that the overall revenue requirement increase on a percentage basis relative to existing authorized rates remains at 1.3% as stipulated in the application originally filed in this real term.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I'd now like to pull up another of the exhibits that we had sent in advance of the hearing. Your Honor, this would be Walnut Way Hearing Exhibit A.
Yeah, well, before we move on to the to another document, I just wanted to point out, I guess I'm curious. I believe most of these notices do indicate that the rates are subject to approval from the commission. So I just wanted to be sure that was in this one.
Your Honor, where your cursor was, if you scroll up a little bit down, the next little block, one more block. I think right in there, after taking our information and public testimony to count, the PSCW will set the new rates. They may be higher or lower than what we requested. I think that indicates that piece for you.
Okay, great. All right, thanks. Okay, so let's move on. You have another document to show Attorney Westerberg?
Yes, please. It was emailed yesterday and the file name was Walnut Way Hearing Exhibit A.
Okay. So let's do this more efficiently this time. Let's go off the record. Do we want to mark this? We'll refer to it with the marking during questioning. So
yeah.
Okay, so this would be Stasic 11, I believe.
That's my understanding.
Okay, and this I'm looking at Cub's second set of discovery responses to those. That the entire doc and the attachment.
Yes, the entire document, the entire request with the attachment to the request, and then the responses to the 2 questions posed are all, it's a composite exhibit.
Okay, so let's get on the record. So we're marking for the sake of questioning the Stasic 11, which is the responses to discovery of Citizens Utility Board, and that's discovery 2, Cub 1 and 2, as well as the referenced attachment. Okay, so let's start questioning on that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Stasic, we've marked as Exhibit 11 the applicant's responses. Some data requests made by Citizens Utility Board and the applicant's responses. Do you recognize this document?
I do.
And you responded to the CUB data requests, at least in part, on behalf of the applicants, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And you answered some of the questions concerned whether a potential customer at what's known as the Foxconn site in Mount Pleasant would have impacts on the revenue requirement in test year 2024, and your answer was no to that. I'm just wondering that since you provided those answers last month, have any of them changed?
They have not.
Okay. And at this time, the applicants are not considering any revisions in the retirement date of Oak Creek Power Plant's units 5 through 8, correct? Beyond
That
what's
is correct.
stated, beyond what's stated in the application.
That's correct. No, no changes.
Okay, thank you. We can set that exhibit aside, Your Honor. Do you want me to move it in now or at the end of the examination?
I'll just off the record. So this is just the requests
And the answers.
and
The answers are at the end of the exhibit, Your Honor.
they're at the end of what?
At the end of the document.
So the attachment comes before. Okay. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
That just struck me as strange. Okay, that's fine. And okay, and it's okay, responded by the witness. Okay, just wanted to check that. Okay. So yeah, well, let's move this in. Let's take care of that now. Any objections?
Your Honor, I think whether I have an objection depends on what this is intended to be used for. That it's asking questions about projects or investments that will not happen in the test year and events that will not occur in the test year. I don't have a problem putting or allowing this exhibit into the record necessarily, but it depends on the use to which it's going to be put. But
I don't think that the use is, sorry, Your Honor, may be heard.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't think that the use to which it's put this governs whether it's admissible and it's relevant. I think it is relevant because it's discussing impacts on the Oak Creek units. And I just wanted to confirm certain things would not occur that could potentially affect rates in the test year. So I think the objections go to the weight, but not the admissibility, and the applicants are free to argue about it in post-hearing briefing.
Okay, I agree. Overruled.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next document.
Eventually it will be what I marked as hearing exhibit C.
Is that it?
That's right.
Okay. So let's mark that Stasic 12. And we can discuss this document as exhibit 12. Go ahead.
Thank you. And just setting the exhibit aside for the moment.
Okay.
In your direct testimony, Mr. Stasic, you referred to some distribution connected solar projects. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And are any of those located in Milwaukee County?
I have to refresh my recollection.
Let's go off the record. Just can you give me the page for the direct?
7 to 8.
Okay, thanks. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, there's a line. I'm not gonna ask any specific questions from the testimony, just the subject matter discussed there on pages 7 to 8.
Okay.
So that starts at line 12 about.
Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, thanks. All right, back on the record. Are you, did you find it, witness station?
So, yeah, I see where the reference is in the testimony, but there's not enough detail in there. It's not the list of the projects that are included. That's in one of my exhibits, and I just would need to pull that up to confirm. You have.
That's fine.
All right, we'll go off the record until we find it.
Tabs of the Excel file. Sorry, Your Honor, there are 11 projects. I'm trying to verify
That's okay.
where each of them are.
Are you referring to a particular exhibit?
Believe it would have been exhibit 8, but I think that the project names themselves might be confidential, Your Honor.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I don't need to ask about the names.
Yeah, but the names would be what I would be able to, in my head, link to the location.
Yeah, I think beyond being confidential, they're not listed on the exhibit.
Yeah.
Exhibits are just identified by number, or excuse me, the projects are just identified by number
Oh, okay.
on Stasic 8. So I don't know that we have a list of those projects by name in the record. At least I don't recall it appearing.
I think Cub might have attached it as an exhibit that's been marked confidential. That's the list of the project names, but not the locations.
That's right.
The Callan 5.
Yes, Your Honor, that is count 5.
Yep, I have it. So I'll just keep it off the screen share for what we use for reference.
Sorry, Your Honor, we're playing catch up to get to the confidential version here.
You're fine.
What's the DR number of Callan 5? Sorry. So we're getting to it.
ER number. Do you mean the PSC reference number?
No, I mean the.
Oh, the data request. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
That, I don't think I have that in front of me.
I can pull that up in just a
Yeah.
second.
Okay.
All right, we got it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're off the
Having
record.
an opportunity to review the list,
Okay.
which I appreciate. No, none of them are in Milwaukee County.
Let's get on the record. Okay, and go ahead and repeat your answer.
Thank you. No, none of the projects that are distribution connected in the current test year are within Milwaukee County.
Okay. So as I understand it, geographically, they're scattered around different counties, but none of those counties happen to be Milwaukee County, correct?
Not in the current listing, no.
Now, Your Honor, we could pull up the exhibit we just marked.
Yeah, stays like 12.
Yep.
Went ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you recall receiving a copy of this document from Walnut Way in approximately mid-May of this year?
I do not recall receiving it personally, no.
Okay. Have you ever seen this document before now? And it's got multiple pages we could scroll through.
I looked through it as it was received yesterday. My recollection is that was I do not recall seeing it prior to receiving it last night.
Okay. And do you know whether the applicants have ever provided any substantive response to Walnut Way related to these proposed sites?
My understanding is that I guess I'll call it the team that works through the development of these projects has continued to work through these different sites that have been provided by Walnut Way as well as others, and has continued to try to work with and share information on a partnership basis as that information becomes available or updates present themselves.
You know when the last time the applicants communicated with Walnut Way about these suggested sites was?
I do not, I'm not personally involved in that process.
Okay. And on what basis do you understand that there have been continued efforts to work with Walnut Way on these suggested sites?
High level summary discussions with the folks that do the development work and identify and pursue different opportunities for project development.
Okay. So if there were any communications, you wouldn't know precisely when those had been, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I don't have any other questions for this witness at this time. I guess since we discussed it, I'd like to move in exhibit 12.
Okay, any objections? I think that's it. No?
Sorry, Your Honor. I don't believe the proper foundation has been laid for this. Mr. Stasek testified that he hadn't seen this exhibit before yesterday when it was provided as a potential cross exhibit, and certainly didn't receive it at the time it was apparently originally provided to someone.
Your Honor, I obviously the witness has some familiarity with it, and we did have data requests related to this exhibit that were responded to. Let me just double check and see who the witness was. I thought Mr. Stasek was involved in that.
Okay, let me know.
Okay. No, I'm seeing not seeing his name on that response. I guess I would still like to move on the admission of this exhibit, however, because he apparently knew enough about the exhibit to say that there had been some high-level discussions about it within the company, and to answer some questions about timing and about when the response to this document might have been received.
Your Honor, that mischaracterizes Mr. Stasek's testimony. He didn't say that there had been responses based on this exhibit. He said he understood that there had been communications with Walnut Way and others. He testified that he wasn't familiar with this exhibit or proposed exhibit.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to sustain the objection. The testimony can stay as it is, but documentation, there's not enough foundation to bring it through on this witness. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, I have no further questions then.
Okay, so 12 is not admitted. Any other cross for Stasek?
Yes, Your Honor, the commission has crossed for Stacy.
Yes, go ahead.
Our first question is regarding DCS Solar. Can you tell us whether the cost of the distribution connected projects in your testimony are the true final costs, or if these could be subject to change orders?
Objection calls for speculation.
Well, I think he can answer to the extent he knows.
My understanding is these are fixed price contracts. So I guess it's theoretically possible you could get a change order, but based on the commercial structure of these particular arrangements, I would not expect any. Again, they're fixed price contracts.
Thank you. Our next question is regarding WEPCO's gas operations and the response to commission staff data request TCM 1.4. The question is, why does the response to commission staff's data request TCM 1.4 not allocate any increase to the agricultural use crop drying class?
Your Honor, could you pull that up?
All right, let's get off the record. We can try to do that. So that's hasn't been offered in the exhibit yet, but I can find it through the PSC reference numbers. So,
And I can provide that.
okay.
It's 478941.
Well, for Excel to load. Here we go. An adjustment to the screen. And where should I direct the screen share?
To Excel lines 19 through 21.
Okay, I think I see it there. Is that what we're talking about? Crop drying?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I see 0% there. Okay. All right, let's get on the record. Go ahead.
Okay, to repeat the question, why does the response to commission staff's data request TCM 1.4 not allocate any increase to the agricultural use crop drying class?
So first, if we look at line 20 and line 21, there are no hold on a second. I'd have to pull up the Excel document to dig through the mechanics of the individual spreadsheet to look at how this was pulled together to refresh myself, because this was responded to quite a while ago.
You mean like the formulas in the cell?
Correct. Just to understand the mechanics of how everything is pulling together. Because there are, certainly this is a very robust model that we had provided, and working through it would require me to refresh myself to be able to answer that question.
Okay, so off the record, can you get that document? Because I do have the Excel file here. I could show you something possibly, but if you have it in front of you, it'd be much better.
Yep, we're working on pulling it up, Your Honor.
All right, that's.
It's taking some digging here
Mhm.
in our record.
So the version on Earth is a live Excel document. I don't know if that has all the background formulas you need, but
Sorry, what was the ref number?
478941.
478941. Okay.
Mhm.
It's like nobody's got any, nothing can open on their office.
My laptop has chosen just this moment to lose internet connectivity. So sorry. Thanks for your patience.
It's okay, we'll handle it.
Oh, there we go.
All right, we got it
Oh, it's up. Let me
up
just,
now.
all right, so let me just dig through this just for a moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
Sorry, this touchpad's not quite what I'm used to. All right. Attorney Bedford, could you, it's been a little while, could you just repeat the question or maybe the court reporter read it back?
Let's have it read back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Would you like me to read it or is the court reporter going to read it back?
Now, the
Getting there.
court reporter will do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Question. To repeat the question, why does the response to Commission staff's data request TCM 1.4 not allocate any increase to the agricultural use drop drawing class?
Yeah,
That
so
would be crop drawing class to correct.
Did I say something else?
Yeah,
Drop.
okay.
Sorry,
No worries.
it's right in front of me.
so just real quick, which tab are you on, Your Honor, in the spreadsheet? I can't see which one's
Ah,
highlighted.
that's a good question. Whatever came up when I opened it. The dashboard looks like.
Okay. So we go dashboard. Trying to find the application. Okay. So we have, I think we finally figured out which tab it's on. So ultimately there were increased revenues that are allocated over to the crop drying. It's within the step 3 class. We actually, as I understand it, and recall, we allocated the revenues. We got about 2.1% went over to agricultural, and consistent with the most recent order, we restructured the agricultural rates. And so the page that's showing here is not where those ag rates are changing. But ultimately, if we look at the tab titled We Rev by Class, I believe, oh, did I grab? Oh, wait, shoot. That's I'm sorry, this is really small. I actually have the wrong line I'm looking at. But I'm gonna have to continue to dig for it. But ultimately, we have a 2.1% revenue increase that's flowing through to that agricultural class through the revenue allocation. And we've just adjusted the rate structures to be consistent. Again, as I understand it, with what was authorized by the commission in the rate order that was issued December 29th of last year.
Okay, does that complete your answer?
For the moment, yes. Unless you'd like me
Okay.
to continue to keep digging.
No, that's fine. We'll move on to the next question.
Okay.
And for that question, we're looking at the same. We're looking at the same data request response, lines 57 through 62.
And which tab are we on?
Thank you, Irma.
We are looking at tab, it should be X02 Stasic -2 6.1. Does that sound right? The question is regarding why the response to the request offers allocations to transportation classes that are notably lower than commission staff's proposal.
Yeah, we'll just get off the record. Am I displaying the correct tab? Looks like O2 Stasic 2 6.1.
That's correct.
Okay, and then you're looking at transportation.
Yeah, it should be lines 57 through 62.
Yeah, that's okay, there's more. Good. Okay. So witness Stasic, are you at the same place?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
Okay, so ready for an answer then?
So I guess when you say, where is the staff proposal that I'm comparing the company's proposal to? Because I don't think that's on this particular exhibit, correct? Or this data request response, I apologize.
Hang on a second, I can pinpoint that proposal.
I think we're still be off the record for now.
Okay. Yeah, if you just give me a moment.
Yeah.
That proposal would be in X-PSC-Melamins-1.
Can you give me the PSC number for that?
It's 478539.
Sorry, one more time on the PSC rough number.
478539, and
Thank you.
we're looking at page 3 of that document.
Yeah.
And are you asking the witness to compare the numbers or the percentages on that document to the spreadsheet we've been looking at?
Yes, that's correct. And the question is, why does the utilities response offer allocations that are to transportation classes that are notably lower than commission staff's proposal?
Well, my understanding is the timing with which
Okay,
this was.
hang on, let's get on the record. So do we have the question? Why don't we have Attorney Bedford just repeat that question for us?
Certainly. And the question is regarding WEPCO's gas operations. Why does the response to commission staff's data request TCM 1.4 offer allocations to transportation classes that are notably lower than commission staff's proposal?
Yeah, I'm just, one thing that would be helpful is I'm trying to pull up or have counsel pull up just the timing of that, that DR response, just to ensure we understand the timing difference.
Certainly.
Okay.
So I can, okay.
Yeah, so my understanding is
Okay,
it's a different, it's a difference of timing. But I just want to pull up the actual, where our verbal response is to that data request, or the actual narrative before we submitted the attachment. Do we have anything on that or no? The verbal 4, 3, 4. This one right here. Right here. Yeah, so as noted, within the data request response, where we actually attached the document that we're looking at right now, we allocated those costs to all customers except those on the contract rate. So basically what that happened is it changed the amount that was available to be allocated to the different classes versus those that are on contract rate. So I think that is the difference between the allocation percentages between what we supplied in this data request response and what was recommended.
Okay, just go off the record for a second and let me have the reference number for that
For the
narrative.
data request response?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's 478939.
Okay, so on the record, so the narrative response to TCM 1.4, the relevant point is the date. That's what the witness is referring to.
Correct.
And that was filed September 15th.
Yes, Your Honor. That, and then the other piece I guess that I'm pointing out as being relevant is it allocates all the costs except for those you know, on contracted rates. So just making that clear, it's not all costs. It was just those that are to all customers except those customers that are on a contract rate. So the allocations might be a little bit different as far as the denominator with which those costs are allocated.
Okay.
Thank
right.
you. For our next question, we would like to refer to the response to Commission staff's data request TCM 1.4 lines 56 to 63. And looking at the tab X02 STASIC 0-2 7.1.
Okay, off the record, let's.
And I believe that has a different IRF number that I can refer you to.
Oh, yeah, looks like it ends there. Okay.
Yes.
That aside, yeah, what's our so let's do both. Let's get both of the narrative document and the attachment if we can ready to go in case we need it. If you have it, so just give me whichever IRF number you have.
So the IRF number I have is 478942.
47829442.
No, sorry, 478942.
Okay.
And the comparison is in this question is going to be to Commission staff's proposal, still in the same Melleman's exhibit, but on page 6 rather than page 3.
Okay, I'm sorry, you lost me there.
Sorry. So the question is going to be to ask the witness to compare the utilities data request response to Commission staff's proposal again, but the Commission staff proposal we'll be looking at is in the same exhibit, the same staff exhibit document, but on page 6 rather than on page 3.
Okay, so I need to find that again. Yeah, I think I may have lost that staff request, so I'll need that number again.
It's the IRF number is 478539.
So that's his exhibit.
Yes, and I'll be directing the witness's attention to page 6 of the
Okay,
PDF of that exhibit.
good. All right, so which one do you want to start with? Oops, no, maybe that one.
Okay,
You want to start with staff's?
well, I think we'll be asking a similar question of the witness, asking why the response to the data request offers allocations that differ from commission staff's proposal. So on the data request response, we'll be looking at lines 56 through 63 of the Excel.
Okay. And what was the tab for that though? That was 7.
The tab is X02 Stasic -2 7.1.
Okay. All right, I think we're there.
Great.
Okay, so did we have a question already asked?
No, I have not
No,
yet
okay.
asked the question.
All right, so let me just check if the applicants are ready to go.
I believe we are, Your Honor.
All right, okay, let's get on the record.
Okay, so our question is regarding Wisconsin gas operations. Why does the response to commission staff's data request TCM 1.4 offer allocations to transportation classes that are notably higher than commission staff's proposal?
I believe the explanation would be the same explanation I provided to the prior question, just with the scope of Wisconsin electric gas operations, just applied to Wisconsin gas.
Okay, that was our last question on cross. So that completes the commission's cross-examination of this witness.
Okay. So I just want to go off the record. I'm hearing sirens, but my phone is not interrupting. So hopefully we won't be interrupted. I guess that was supposed to be at 11 a.m., wasn't it? I don't know. It must have been late for us. So, okay. So let's see, staff's done. Move these away.
Judge, this is Commissioner
Yes.
Gardner. I just have a couple of questions for Mr. Stasic.
Okay, absolutely. Go ahead. Do you need those documents we were just looking at?
I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Yes.
Stasic.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
I just had a couple questions related to the distribution connected solar projects that were discussed in your direct at pages 7 and 8, and that were discussed a little bit earlier in your examination today. Just one foundational questions. I'm sure you are, but just to be sure, are you familiar with the Renewable Energy Rider Tariff and the Renewable Pathway Pilot programs that We Energies has?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Would any of those distribution connected solar projects potentially be available as projects for customers under either Renewable Energy Rider or Renewable Pathway? Could those be in the future projects?
The short answer to your question, Commissioner, is yes. A customer could subscribe to any of those projects through either of the two voluntary renewable programs you referenced.
Okay. It seems like at this time that's not envisioned, but it's a potential option for the future.
Correct.
Okay. That was my question. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Other cross for the witness? No? Redirect?
No,
No? All right. Thanks very much. You're excused.
Thank you.
thank you.
So is that all the applicant's witnesses?
Yes, it is.
All right. Can move on. Cub. So let's have Cub call its first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Cub calls Ted Callan to the stand.
See you there. Just want to pull your microphone closer to, there you go. All right, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Please state your name for the record.
Ted Callan.
Mr. Callan, did you file direct rebuttal, surrebuttal testimony and 6 exhibits in this proceeding, including confidential and public versions of that direct?
I did. It's 5 exhibits with a confidential and public version of the 5th, but
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
no problem.
Yes, exhibits 1 through 5, including confidential versions of exhibit 5 and public versions of that.
Indeed.
And is that testimony and the information contained in those exhibits true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
I have a couple of corrections I'd like to add to my direct and rebuttal testimonies at this time. Otherwise, they are true and correct.
All right, please go ahead with those corrections.
So beginning with the direct, in the footer, I made the same mistake and need to change webcode WG to Cub. On page 2, line 18, as you see, there is a sentence there that needs to be removed, beginning after the colon, and before the bullet points. And then lastly, on page 7, line 6, the number 2021 should be changed to 2022.
All right, and inclusive of those small corrections and the corrections in the offered evidence list, is that true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Just to add the single correction to the rebuttal that I need to make is the same issue with the footer needs to be corrected, but after all of that, yes.
Okay, and do you have anything else to add to your testimony at this time?
I do not.
All right, I don't believe there's any cross, but Mr. Callan is available if there is.
Okay, so just off the record, just to clarify, so some of those corrections I mentioned on the offered evidence list, I mean, unless there's questions about those, we don't need to go over them, just for time saving. And then other corrections really should go in on errata, and then we don't have to discuss them on the record. I know this timing of these cases were onerous for parties participating in multiple cases, but just wanted to make that known that that's our standard practice, is to have you don't need to file an errata for corrections, as I'm already communicating to the parties, but other ones should be in an errata. It's just a way of streamlining the process. So, okay, so on the record, any questions for the witness?
I do have this is Krista Westerberg for Walnut Way. I have a question about one of the witnesses' exhibits, and if I may. No, we didn't identify him, so I apologize about that.
No, that's okay. He's on the stand, so.
Okay, great. Mr. Callan, Krista Westerberg here for Walnut Way. I think it was your exhibit 3 that contained an energy burden analysis.
Mhm.
I believe it's 2.
2. And I just want to make sure I understand the source of the data for the analysis that was in your schedule 3
Yes.
of Exhibit 2. And did you rely on data that the applicants had provided that was used as a basis for the energy burden analysis in their annual report?
To the best of my ability, yes.
Okay. And you have not marked that spreadsheet with that data as an exhibit, is that correct? The one you received through from the applicants?
Yes, I have not included that as an exhibit.
Okay. Your Honor, I believe that's contained in the on the docket as PSC reference 477156. And we also attached it yesterday to well, I attached it to my email with documents for potential cross.
Okay. And is that the Excel spreadsheet?
That's right.
Exhibit D? Okay. Very longitudinal document here. I don't know if I can get it all in screen without making it very small. But there we go.
Okay.
There a particular tab?
No, this is fine, Your Honor. Thank you. Mr. Callan, is this the spreadsheet on which you relied to create your energy burden analysis in Exhibit 2?
Yes, specifically the WEPCO Electric 2022 tab, as well as WeGo Gas 2022 would have been the ones I used for this spreadsheet.
Okay. Your Honor, we'd like to just mark this and have it in the record so that the record shows the basis for the spreadsheet prepared by Mr. Callan.
Okay, well, let's mark this as Callan 6. And there's just public version for that.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay, and just give us a quick description of what we're marking.
It was a response to a CUB data request. I can give you the request number here in a moment. Let's see. 3. It was 3 CUB 01.
Okay. All right, so then the entire spreadsheet will be offered as a Callan 6. Any objections?
Just a moment, Your Honor. Just
Okay.
trying to determine.
Could I clarify, Your Honor, are we just talking about the WEPCO Electric and the WeGo Gas 2022 tabs?
That's what I heard.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, well, we can clarify that if you'd like. I would ask Attorney Westerberg.
That's the only part that we're interested in, Your Honor, whatever the witness relied on. I think the results tabs might be helpful as well.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. This is beyond the scope of this case. The energy burden analysis was not included in the Commission's December 29, 2022 order as part of the scope of this case. We didn't file a motion to strike Mr. Callan's testimony, but this is getting into considerable additional detail, including the raw data on underlying the work that Mr. Callen did.
Your Honor, I think I'm hearing an objection to relevancy, and there wasn't any objection to providing this information in the data request response. So I think that the applicants acknowledged that it was relevant then. And again, if they have disputes about it, they can argue about it in briefing, but there's been considerable testimony from Mr. Callen about energy burden. And I think this helps complete the record on that point.
Okay, so what was do you have the PSC reference number for the textual response to the data request?
I do. That would be 477155.
Bring that here, hopefully. And it looks like the first page. That's all that's been provided. So I don't see an objection to relevance.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. We didn't object based on relevance because it was asking for data from 2022, which arguably has some relevance if you're looking at a trending analysis. But as the issue is what it was ultimately used for, which is an energy burden analysis, which is beyond the scope of this case.
Well, I think we're getting into
Okay.
trying to nitpick what evidence can come in based on what it's used for. And I think it's admissible. And if they want to argue about the use of it again, that's a matter for later.
It's not nitpicking. It's the fact that the commission set a specific scope for this reopener, and this goes well beyond it.
Doesn't go beyond it any more than any of the other exhibits that have already come in from Mr. Callen.
So I guess my question is, the data in this spreadsheet do relate to 2022. Does it go beyond projecting into test years beyond 2024?
Not to my knowledge. It doesn't project into 2024 either. It's just data from 2022. Mr. Callen projected it or built an analysis based on the 2022 data. I don't think it purports to be an energy burden analysis for 2024. It purports to be a burden analysis for 2022.
Okay, and not beyond 2024 either. Okay.
Mr. Callen could answer that.
Yeah. Well, I should probably ask him. Yeah, so let me ask you, Witness Callen, in terms of your analysis, in terms of the data that we're looking at in the spreadsheet, that data is limited to 2022.
The data in the spreadsheet that is currently open on the Zoom is all 2022 data.
Okay. And you're now, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, keep going.
The data presented in my analysis, and I'm sorry, let me pull that up again, is also exclusively 2022 data.
Okay. And do you make projections beyond the 2024 test year?
In a separate exhibit, I use the applicants as well as staff adjusted rates to come up with what 2024 energy burden, what energy burden would look like using 2022 usage data adjusted with these rate differences.
Okay, but not in 2025 or 2026.
Nope.
Okay. All right, I'll overrule the objection. We'll allow this exhibit in. I don't think I think just let the whole thing in. I don't think I think the tabs are identified as to what the was at issue in the questions, but I'd rather not have a new document be created extrapolating certain tabs out of this response. Let's just keep the response as a whole. just separately filed as Callan 6.
Thank you. And Your Honor, do we need to file that as to convert it to PDF, or is it okay as it is with as an Excel spreadsheet?
No, it should be converted to PDF.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from WWCC?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, other cross? Okay, I'm just gonna mark this. All right, and redirect.
No redirect, Your Honor.
All right, thanks very much. You're excused.
Thank you.
Hub calls Corey Singletary to the stand.
Okay, raise your right hand. And to swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Singletary, did you file direct and rebuttal testimony in this proceeding?
I did.
And is that testimony true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
It is.
Do you have anything to add to your testimony at this time?
I do not.
Mr. Singletary is available for questions.
Okay, any questions?
No.
Okay, thanks very much. You're excused.
Thank you.
Okay, looks like we have witnesses ready to go. Let's get off the record and just poll any need for a break. I'm looking at you, Debbie.
I could take like 3 minutes to run to the bathroom.
Okay, all right, let's break for 10 and be back at 12:35. Thanks.
Doesn't take me that long.
No comment.
Judge Newmark off the record. I apologize for all the corrections on the stand. I meant to bring that up today that, oh, again, we're going to have to do this one more time, and I promise we'll do better next time.
That's okay. You got a new staff person there and it's been a crunch for you guys. I know.
We're
But
multitasking in a new way.
just want to make sure that when these things happen, people don't think that's the new way to do it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. All right, well, it's time to go, and we do have our witnesses ready. So let's get on the record, and I think we're ready for the WIG witnesses. So go ahead.
Sure, thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to call Mr. Rick Bodino to the stand, please.
Okay, I see you there. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Bodino.
Good afternoon.
Yes, did you prepare and cause to be filed direct and rebuttal testimony and 3 exhibits?
Yes, I did.
And do you have any changes to either the testimony or the exhibits?
No, I do not.
If I were to ask you today while you are under oath the questions set forth in your testimony and exhibits, would your answers remain the same?
Yes, they would.
Mr. Bodino is available for cross-examination.
Okay, any questions? I'm not seeing any. Okay, thanks very much. You're excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to call Mr. Lane Collin.
Okay, there you are. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Collin.
Good afternoon.
Did you prepare and cause to be filed testimony and exhibits in this proceeding?
Yes.
And do you have any corrections to either?
I do have one correction to the Sir rebuttal testimony, or are you just talking about the direct?
To whatever corrections you have to any of your pieces of testimony.
Okay, we'll be very efficient on this. My Sir rebuttal testimony, page 5, line 8, there's a value there of $22 at the end of the line and a reference to $22 million. It should be 24 million.
Okay, thank you. Do you have corrections to any other testimony?
I do not.
Okay, all right, thanks. If Mr. Collin, if I were to ask you today while you are under oath the questions set forth in your testimony, would your answers remain the same?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Collin is available for cross-examination.
All right.
So
I just wanted to mention so that kind of correction, if that really would be much more valuable to get in an errata, just so parties and staff do have an opportunity to review that change before the hearing. So just so you know, we went through the process of corrections on the stand just before with Cub, but
yeah,
sort of the minor, grammatical things are one thing, but when it comes to changing figures like that, we probably want to make sure that parties have a chance to review that ahead of time. So just want to note that.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Yes, apologize for this. It was on, whatever number review of the testimony where it was discussed. So, thank you.
All right. Okay, so let's have Cross. Any questions from the applicant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Collin. My name is Joe Wilson. I'm one of the lawyers for the applicants in this case.
Good afternoon.
Could you please turn in your Sir rebuttal testimony to page 2, line 15? There you say that the commission will make a decision among multiple means of recovering the undepreciated book value of the Oak Creek power plant units in this docket, right?
No, you didn't read it correctly. I said that the commission will make a decision among multiple alternatives. you missed that word. I think it's important for the context.
With that correction, is that what you were testifying to there?
Yes, that's correct.
Would you agree, though, that what you were proposing in this docket is that the commission change the means of recovering that undepreciated book value from traditional rate making approach to a levelized approach?
From the traditional, where you have a declining rate base and a straight line amortization, to a levelized, that would be a change from the past practice.
And that's the change you're proposing in this case?
Yes, specifically for the revenue requirement, in this case, a levelized recovery. And the issue is in play, and it's not that the commission is deferring a decision. It has to make a decision. Does it continue with the declining rate base, straight line amortization, or does it replace it with a levelized recovery?
And your proposal is that the commission change the method of recovery to the levelized approach, correct?
Compared to the historic practice, that's correct. But the issue is in play in this proceeding.
Is your argument that even if the commission doesn't adopt your proposed change to a levelized approach, they're still deciding on a means for recovery, i.e. maintaining the same means that has been in place for decades?
The decision to move ahead with a traditional declining rate base straight line amortization is a decision. And I don't know how else to phrase it other than to simply say that there's nothing that just happens through inertia. It happens through a decision, and the commission will have to make a conscious decision on this issue in this proceeding.
I suppose you'd argue then that every time the commission allows utilities to continue to depreciate assets according to traditional rate making, they're making a decision to do that in every rate case. Is that your argument?
Well, not explicit, but the commission put the issue in play itself in terms of the order point in the last final order in the last proceeding, in fact, this proceeding, and required the company to provide alternative rate making recovery scenarios. And apparently, for some reason, ostensibly to review those rate making alternatives and make a decision on that.
Well, the commission's final order issued December 29, 2022 did not make any reference to making a decision about future recovery of the undepreciated value of the Oak Creek power plant. It required the applicant to present alternatives on that, but it didn't say anything, or didn't say that the commission would be making a decision on that issue, did it?
I'm not sure where the question is. There were a lot of multiple premises and things like that. I can't necessarily answer yes or no. I can just simply say that there was an order point directing the company to present rate making alternatives, which the company did, including a levelization or a levelized form of recovery.
There was not an order point saying that the commission would be deciding on a future rate making approach for the undepreciated book value of Oak Creek Power Plant in this case, was there?
I don't believe that there was, but nevertheless, that is still an issue here because
thank you.
I think I'm entitled to finish my response. It's an issue because the company has a dollar amount in the 2024 revenue requirement for the recovery under its proposed form of recovery. And we think, and I recommend, a different form of recovery. But the commission will have to make a decision one way or the other on the form of recovery. It doesn't just happen.
Your Honor, I'd move to strike that response after the initial answer to my question, which took all of about 3 words.
Overruled.
Well, Your Honor, I think that it was responsive to the question.
Overruled.
Thank you.
Even if the commission decides not to change the approach to recovery in this case, they could revisit that decision and change it later, right?
That's always an option. Yes.
You offer a number of possibilities for recovery of the undepreciated value of the Oak Creek Power Plant in your survey testimony, right?
Both in my direct and my SIR rebuttal, yes.
Specifically at page 2, line 20, you suggest that the commission could change the recovery of all 4 units at Oak Creek Power Plant to a levelized approach in this case, despite the fact that units 7 and 8 won't be retired until 2025, correct?
Correct.
Can you identify any examples of the Wisconsin Commission ordering a change in how the undepreciated costs of a power plant are recovered from customers while the power plant is still in operation?
Actually, yes. I was recently involved in a Southwestern Electric Power Company rate case, and those determinations were made whereby the utility came in and requested a regulatory asset for the remaining undepreciated net book value of certain power plants when they retired, and then requested a form of recovery. And the Louisiana Public Service Commission authorized
excuse
that.
me.
I'm sorry.
Again, I would move to strike this response as unresponsive. I asked specifically about the Wisconsin Public Service Commission.
Please answer the question posed.
Yes, I did not hear the qualifier Wisconsin Public Service Commission.
That's okay. Objection overruled.
I'll ask the question again.
Oh,
Can you
go ahead.
Can you identify any examples of when the Wisconsin Commission has ordered a change in how undepreciated costs of a power plant are recovered from customers while the power plant is still running?
I don't have anything in mind, so I would say no directly to the question, but I would say this, that in this test year in 2024, Oak Creek units 5 and 6 will be retired. And so, you know, it's a little bit of a yes and no type of answer, because in this case, you have a power plant that will be retired within the test year. And the commission has, in fact, agreed to provide a levelized form of recovery for power plants in a test year coming up. For example, it already did that. It essentially authorized that for Edgewater Unit 5 in the last WPL rate case. So that's why I say the answer to your question is not a clear yes or no. It's both a yes and no.
The premise to my question was you would propose to impose levelized recovery for all 4 units. Do you remember that?
I didn't hear that distinction. Perhaps you could
one of the proposals you've made in your testimony is that the commission impose, in this case, levelized recovery for all 4 units of the Oak Creek Power Plant, right?
Well,
yes,
actually, I'm going to have to interject. Are you taking this off of the Colin 2 rebuttal, line 21?
Line 21 to 22.
Okay, so it does say levelized recovery is not dependent on any or all of OCCP units being retired. So you're not referencing only the retiring units, you're referencing all units, including 7 and 8.
I assume that's a question for the witness? Or?
Yes, is that correct, witness Colin? You see where I'm referring to? I have that on the screen.
Lane, I believe this is a question for you. If you heard
okay. Yes.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I was not clear in that, but so let me pose a question to the witness. We're just seeking clarity on your rebuttal, page 2, lines 20 and 21. If you mean to be referencing all units of OCPP, including units 7 and 8, or just the units being retired and proposed being retired in 2024?
My recommendation is to use the levelized form of recovery for all 4 units. However, I also proposed in a sense that the commission could split that and address units 5 and 6 on a levelized form of recovery, and then delay that decision with respect to units 7 and 8. But there's no bright line under generally accepted accounting principles or under the FERC uniform system that the recovery has to be on a declining cost basis for rate-based purposes on a straight line amortization. That is not a requirement. So the commission does have the discretion really at any time to use levelized recovery on retiring plant assets or even operating assets for that matter.
So to the extent the questioning of this witness deals with what's allowed, I would just caution the applicant that as far as we get into legal questions, this witness, I don't think is qualified to answer that. So
Yeah, that's not the question I was intending to ask, Your Honor. I was asking if the witness was aware of any examples of the Wisconsin Commission ordering levelized recovery of the cost of a power plant that is still in operation. I believe he answered that question, no.
I answered it yes and no, because I said that within the test year, you have both an operating power plant.
I'm talking about the operating power plant. You're
right.
We're
It's
only
operating for part of the test year, sir. Units 5 and 6. You understand that, correct?
But I think the question is regarding units 7 and 8 that'll continue to operate. Is that correct, Attorney Wilson?
Yes.
Okay, so when it comes to operating units 7 and 8, is there precedent for levelized recovery of operating units?
I don't know. I can't answer that question, yes or no.
Yeah.
But with the specificity, really with respect to 7 and 8, and that was not my understanding of counsel's question.
Okay, so we're making the question clear. So as it applies to 7 and 8, you have no.
I don't have any knowledge of any prior use of levelization recovery.
Okay. Other questions?
Yes, putting aside the specific example of the Oak Creek Power Plant, are you aware of the Wisconsin Commission ever ordering levelized recovery of a power plant that is still in operation?
I don't think the question is sufficiently clear for me to answer it yes or no. I raised the example at Edgewater 5.
You can object.
Still operating.
Yeah, no,
is he objecting
that is
to
a
my
yes
question?
or no question. It's just what you know.
Okay.
Do you know of any time that this commission has ordered levelized recovery on an existing plant?
Yes, with respect to Edgewater 5, but only upon its retirement.
Thank you.
That's perfect. Thank you.
At page 3, line 17 of your SUR rebuttal, you repeat your earlier recommendation that the commission, quote, state its intent to consider a lower return on equity on the retired plant starting January 1, 2026, end quote, to incentivize WEPCO to securitize more than $100 million of the undepreciated book value of Oak Creek Power Plant and its environmental controls, correct?
I didn't see, I'm sorry, could you point me to that reference again?
Page 3, line 17.
Okay, I'm there.
Did I correctly characterize your testimony?
I don't know. I wasn't able to follow along with you. I'm sorry. I couldn't find the reference.
At page 3, line 17 of your SUR rebuttal testimony, you repeat your earlier recommendation that the commission state its intent to consider a lower return on equity on the retired plant starting January 1, 2026, to incentivize Wisconsin Electric to securitize more than $100 million of the undepreciated book value of the Oak Creek Power Plant and its environmental controls, correct?
The essence of what you said is correct, but I don't see that directly. I'm looking at my SUR rebuttal. Are you in my direct?
I wasn't quoting you. I was characterizing your testimony. Have I characterized it correctly?
I think generally, yes.
Can you identify any examples of the Wisconsin Commission threatening to lower the ROE on a particular power plant to force a Wisconsin utility to take a certain action?
I'm sorry, to force a Wisconsin utility to
Take a certain action.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, I don't think it's a threat. I would characterize it as a negative incentive. But I again have not researched that issue to know yes or no whether or not the commission has done that before.
So the answer to my question, can you identify any examples, is no, correct?
I haven't done that analysis. That's correct.
In your rebuttal testimony at page 4, line 5, you discuss the concept of a positive incentive to encourage Wisconsin Electric to securitize more than $100 million of the Oak Creek power plant costs. Have I fairly characterized your testimony?
For the portion of it that I think you've referenced me to, it's not complete or comprehensive, but it is what it is, what you've said.
And you suggest that the commission could consider sharing, quote, perhaps 10% or more, end quote, of the resulting savings from securitization at page 4, lines 6 to 7 of your rebuttal, correct?
Yes, that's what I said. That's correct.
So I'd like to explore what you mean by 10% or more, okay?
Absolutely.
Would you support having the company share in 20% of the savings?
That would really be within the discretion of the commission. I wanted to put a marker down, something substantial, and I think 10% of potentially $200 million is substantial. I would not oppose a 20% sharing, but that would be essentially free money to the company, but I think would be a substantial incentive to the company to pursue the securitization financing.
Would you oppose having the company share 30% of the savings?
I don't know.
Okay, so you wouldn't oppose 20%, correct?
I think 10 to 20% is a substantial incentive, and I think it would be reasonable.
Is 20% the top of your range of reasonableness on this issue?
I haven't considered anything higher than 20%.
Okay. At page 3, line 5 of your rebuttal, you discuss the, I'll let you get there. So page 3, line 5, you discuss the environmental trust bond financing law and whether it permits securitization only of environmental controls, correct?
I do.
And you say there that, quote, I understand there are other legal opinions that the law permits securitization financing for the entirety of the remaining costs of Oak Creek Power Plant units 7 through 8, right?
I do say that, yes.
Okay. Who offered that legal opinion?
I discussed this issue with Mr. Heinzen, counsel for WEG. And in addition, I had thoughts of my own how that could be achieved because as I read the securitization statute, not only are the remaining costs of the retired plant eligible for securitization, but also the decommissioning or the cost of removal costs are eligible for securitization. So the sum of those two could easily approach the remaining undepreciated costs of the Oak Creek units 5 through 8.
So you're not a lawyer, right? As you testify.
You're
not.
I mean, that's an interesting question. I acknowledged it in my testimony. I don't think it's really necessary to ask me again.
Well, are you offering a legal opinion about what the statute means? Obviously
not. Just like Mr. Stasek was not offering a legal opinion, neither of us are attorneys, so that should be self-evident.
Besides Mr. Heinzen's legal opinion on this issue, has anyone else offered this opinion to your knowledge?
Listen, I'm not an attorney. I haven't talked to attorneys other than Mr. Heinzen. The law is what the law is.
What was Mr. Heinzen's legal opinion on this issue?
We just had general discussions about it, and I offered an understanding similar to the wording that was used by Mr. Stasek. He said, while I am not an attorney, my understanding is fill in the blank. I basically mimicked his language. I said, well, I too am not an attorney. My understanding is that there are other opinions.
Well, whose opinion are you talking about here? Yours or Mr. Heinzen's?
Combination of the two, actually.
But you're not offering a legal opinion, right? So you can't be talking about yours.
Well, if you're talking in the context of a legal opinion, that's correct. But I simply, and I pointed this out in a previous response, is that there are ways of essentially calculating the costs eligible for securitization financing that are not limited to just simply the undepreciated cost of environmental controls at a retired power plant. In fact, the statute itself says, and I don't think this requires a legal opinion, that you can add the cost of removal to that. And that was the second part of my response to your prior question. That is not a legal opinion. That's just a fact. It says it right in the statute.
Yeah,
And Your Honor, I'd like to object at this point. Gave Mr. Wilson an opportunity here, but I object under work product. So conversations between me and Mr. Collin should not be brought out here during this proceeding.
Any response?
I don't think that conversation qualifies for work product protection, but I don't need to take it any further.
Okay. Other questions?
I think he answered the question and there was no question pending. So
Yeah, any other questions?
no.
All right. Other cross? No? Redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thanks very much. You're excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Other witnesses for Wig?
Yes, that's correct. The other two witnesses will submit affidavit to verify their testimony.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to commission staff. And we can call our first witness.
The commission calls Tyler Mellemans to the stand.
All right, see you there. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Please state your name for the record.
Tyler Mellemans.
What is your position at the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin?
I am the rates supervisor for the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin.
Did you file or cause to be filed direct and rebuttal testimony in one exhibit in this docket?
Yes, I did.
Are the statements and representations in the testimony and exhibit you filed in this case true and correct?
Yes, they are.
And do you have any additions or modifications to your testimony or exhibit at this time?
I do not.
Thank you, Your Honor. The witness is available for cross-examination.
All right, any questions for the witness?
Yes, Your Honor, I do have a couple of questions.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Mellemans. I have a couple of questions for you here, and one just a moment, please. You are familiar with Mr. Baudino's testimony on how the incremental revenue requirement here should be recovered, whether it should be recovered through an energy charge or demand charge?
I'm relatively familiar with it. If you're going to ask me details, I'd have to reread the testimony.
No, just generally is what I'm asking for, and we can look at it more closely if necessary, but that's fine right now. Is it just trying to understand your position. Is it your position that that only energy charges can be used, or an increase in energy charge can be used to recover the incremental revenue requirement?
As stated in my direct answer rebuttal testimony, yes, that is commission staff's position.
Your Honor, I do not have this before me, but would it be possible to pull up last year's final decision?
Yeah, I think that's fair. So let's go off the record. So you're looking for the final decision in this docket? From
Yes.
December?
That's correct.
Okay.
We have the PSC reference number, Your Honor, if that helps.
Oh, thanks. I'm just there, so we're good. I appreciate it. Okay, so I have it. Are you looking for a particular place?
Yes, we'll turn to page 71, please. And on the way there, I'll say, Mr. Millimans, were you involved in the underlying of the first year of this rate case?
Yes, I was.
Okay. So if we could turn to page 71, Your Honor.
And let's just clarify, in what capacity did you participate in the last year's proceeding, Witness Millimans?
In last year, I was the commission rate analyst assigned to presenting commission staff's electric rate design and revenue allocation.
Okay, thanks.
And the STEAM revenue allocation.
Can't forget STEAM. So, okay, I think I have page 71. Am I showing the correct area you want to discuss?
Let me just grab this here. Yeah, it's the section titled Overall Rate Design.
Okay. All right. Looks like we're there.
Sure.
Okay,
Mr. Millimans,
so let's get on the record. I think we were off. Maybe not.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Go ahead.
Sure. Thank you. Mr. Millimans, can you, this is, you're taking a look here at page 71 of last year's final decision. And can you just take a moment to read that last paragraph underneath the heading Overall Rate Design?
To himself.
And then if you can just let me know when you finished it.
All right, I am ready.
Okay, thank you. Am I reading it correctly that when the commission reached its decision last year, the revenue was allocated and it was recovered with both energy and demand charges?
I believe the determination of recovery is mentioned in the following paragraph, but yes, best I can remember, there were changes to energy and demand-based rates.
Okay. And so I guess I'm curious if you could explain why it is inappropriate in this case to only recover through an increase in the energy charge.
As stated in my direct answer rebuttal testimony, the commission did not state in their order points on this authorizing this reopener that rate design or revenue allocation were topics to be considered. Yeah.
Isn't your decision to recover through an increased energy charge inconsistent with last year's decision by the commission that it would be recovered through both an increased energy and an increased demand charge?
Object, that calls for a legal conclusion.
Well, this is as a practical matter. In this case, you said it can be recovered only through an increased energy charge, and you've suggested that that's what the commission did last year. And I'm asking how you square those two things.
Okay, I'm going to overrule the objection, but I'll let the witness clarify as to what he said exactly about the limitations that he believes are imposed on this reopener.
Just a moment while I find that in my testimony.
And if you can direct us to it, I'll
Yes.
show it.
I can't find the exact citation in my direct, but in my SIR rebuttal on page 2, starting at line 9.
And can you read that?
Commission staff disagrees with Mr. Baudino as the commission authorized this limited reopener on a limited scope of items, and rate design was not one of those items.
Well, do I understand that to mean that you and all of the witnesses, anyone who's going to be proposing rate design or how to collect the increased revenue in this case, is to use the same method that the commission used in the underlying case?
Could you repeat the question, please?
We'll have the court reporter repeat that for us.
Thank you.
Question, do I understand that to mean that you and all the witnesses, anyone who is going to be proposing rate design or how to collect the increased revenue in cases to use the same method that the commission used in the underlying case?
I can't speak on behalf of other witnesses. I can only speak on behalf of commission staff's position, which is that our proposed revenue allocation and the means to achieve that allocation, we believe is consistent with what the commission authorized for this limited reopener.
Okay, in this, what you're proposing here is that the recovery is only through an increased energy charge, correct?
Correct.
Can you point to something in last year's case where the commission increased only the energy charge?
For a specific class?
Sure. Or for, we're talking here about general primary even. I mean, is it your, I guess, assertion that
there's a pending question, so.
Okay, sure. Yep.
It'll take me a minute to get to that section of the order.
So off the record, so we're looking at the appendix? Or is there?
I'm not sure if it, I'm not sure if it's stated anywhere other than on page 71, but it may be.
Well, your question, the pending question is when it particular to a particular class, which was.
If you, yeah, the appendix B, page 5. Is one place to go for what practically happened.
So is the question on, can I point to any class where the commission authorized an energy only increase?
No, we are talking about general primary, so large industrial customers. And I just read your testimony as saying you have increased the energy charge, and only the energy charge can be increased because that's what the commission did last time.
Yeah, we're off the record, so let's get back on the record.
Okay.
don't believe that is what my testimony states. My testimony states that I believe energy charges should be where the changes occur because the commission has not authorized rate design as an aspect of this limited reopener.
Okay. Thank you for that. So what I understand from that is that if the commission doesn't explain how to allocate or how the revenue should be collected, whether through energy or demand, that the default is to only collect it through an increased demand, increased energy.
That is commission staff's position in this proceeding, yes.
Okay, so can you tell me why that's the case?
Standard commission practice when there are surcharges or credits to be applied through various proceedings is to do it on a per kWh basis.
Are you aware of any decisions that the commission made that using the energy on a per kWh basis was something other than in a fuel only related case?
Off the top of my head, I am not, but I'm not familiar with every order that this commission has issued.
Would you agree with me that in this underlying order that we're talking about right now, that the commission did in fact increase both energy charge and demand charge?
Yes.
So when you chose to increase the energy charge only, did you give any thought or assessment to what the increased revenue was associated with, whether it was energy related or demand related?
I mean, without the presence of cost of service studies, it's hard to make a statement on the demand or energy contributions to this incremental increase.
Which is to say that you did not do any assessment because one was not available from the utility.
I think that's fair to say.
If you were to make such an analysis, do you expect that you would agree with Mr. Baudino that the incremental costs are at least in part demand related?
Objection calls for speculation.
The response. No response.
No, that's fine. I can ask the question this way. Do you have any reason to believe that Mr. Baudino's opinion that incremental costs are demand related is wrong?
I don't have information to confirm or deny his position.
Off the record. Here's our warning.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Wait, we're off the record. So I got a buzzing. Anyone else hear that? And
yes.
I don't know if it's over, but we'll just continue on. So let's get back in the record. Yeah, final statement there, Attorney Hines.
Yes, I am. I have no further questions.
Okay,
thank you.
Yeah, it seems to want to come back. You're chiming again. All right, well, we'll just deal with that. So, all right, so no other cross from WIG. Any other cross for this witness? No redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
All right. All right, thanks very much. You're excused.
Thank you.
Next, the commission calls Klaus Mailata to the stand.
Okay. See you there. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. And can you lower your mic a little bit closer? Get it closer. Your headphone.
So as close as I can get. All right.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. Go ahead.
Please state your name for the record.
Klaus H. Mailata.
And what is your position at the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin?
I'm a financial analyst.
did you file or cause to be filed direct testimony, rebuttal testimony, and 2 exhibits
Yes, I
in
did.
this docket?
Sorry. Yes, I did.
No worries. And are the statements and representations in the testimony and exhibits you filed in this case true and correct?
Yes, they are.
And do you have any additions or modifications to your testimony and exhibits at this time?
I'll be filing a revised rebuttal which clarifies a reference on page 2.
And do you have any further additions or modifications to your testimony or exhibits at this time?
I do not.
Thank you, Your Honor. The witness is available for cross-examination.
Okay, well, before we get started, I just wanted to confirm that your second exhibit, my lot of 2, that's the pending update. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not, so you don't have 2 currently filed.
No, it's based on mid-October gas, so we won't have it till the second part of October.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so any questions for the witness? No one? Well, he gets off this time. Okay, thanks very much. You're excused.
Thanks.
The commission calls Deborah Probst to the stand.
Okay, raise your right hand. You swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Please state your name for the record.
Deborah Probst.
And what is your position at the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin?
I'm the audit supervisor.
And did you file or cause to be filed direct and rebuttal testimony and 1 exhibit in this docket?
And I also filed sir rebuttal testimony. Yes.
Thank you. And are the statements and representations in the testimony and exhibits you filed in this case true and correct?
Yes, they are.
Do you have any additions or modifications to your testimony or exhibits at this time?
I will have 2 delayed exhibits, the public comment exhibit and the PSC staff data request response exhibit. And to answer Judge Newmark's question, I think we were off the record at the time about what's going to be in that staff data request response exhibit. It'll include all staff data requests that went out, excluding what we call IDRs, initial data requests, for both the rate proceeding, including the fuel. So it will be anything that goes out under staff initials, not IDRs. So it'll include verbal.
Thank you. And do you have any other additions or modifications to your testimony or exhibits at this time?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Your Honor, the witness is available for cross-examination.
All right, any questions? No one? Okay, thanks very much. You're excused.
Your Honor, the commission calls Mike Ritzema to the stand.
There you go. Can you lower your screen a little bit, or so we can see your full? There we go. Perfect. Excellent. All right. Raise your right hand.
Just a minute, Your Honor, sorry.
Yep. Yep. Get you settled there.
Oh, I'm having some technical difficulties here.
We can see and hear you fine.
Okay, all right, that's fine. All right, that'll work.
Okay. All right. I'm going to swear you in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Great. Go ahead.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Michael A. Ritzema.
And what is your position at the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin?
I am a public utility auditor principal.
And did you file or cause to be filed direct and rebuttal testimony in this docket?
Yes, I did.
And are the statements and representations in the testimony you filed in this case true and correct?
Yes, subject to my errata that I filed regarding my direct, and also I have an additional correction to make.
Okay. Do you have any additions or modifications to your testimony or exhibits at this time?
Yes, at my direct page 3, line 9, 2021 should be 2020.
And does that complete the additions or modifications that you have to make at this time?
I would have an additional comment to make.
Okay,
I wish to clarify that that commission staff is not proposing to remove the $31 million from commission staff's forecast of monitored field costs for the 2024 field cost plan. Commission staff's proposed 2024 monitored field costs are reflected in the direct testimony and exhibit of commission witness that Klaus Malata.
thank you for that clarification. Your Honor, the witness is available for cross-examination.
Okay, so off the record, I just wanted to check, Debbie, did you hear all that?
Yeah, I got it. I kind of got it delayed, but yeah, thank you.
Okay, and just wanted to confirm while we're off the record that witness Ritzma will be refiling the SIR rebuttal with the corrected confidential redaction. That's still pending, right? And so we're still expecting that.
That's correct.
Okay, I don't know if I heard that or not. And there's no exhibits from witness Ritzma. So
Correct.
No.
yeah, okay. Just want to be sure. All right. Okay, so on the record, any cross for this witness?
So Your Honor, based on Mr. Ritzema's clarification, we are not going to cross him today.
All right. Relief there. Anyone else? No one? Okay. Well, thanks very much. You're excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. So I think we have all of our witnesses accounted for. And is there anything else we need to discuss before we adjourn? Nothing? All right. Thanks very much, everyone. Take care. We're adjourned. We will see the public on Monday, October 9th in Clinton Rose Senior Center for public comments. So thanks everyone now for attending, and we'll see the public next week.